whilst I'm waiting, I'm just finishing something over here. So you guys carry on, and when he comes in, it should be good. But I'm just got to do something for a British company, and whilst you're doing that, there he is.
Hello, gentlemen. Sorry about the delay. What a palaver that was trying to join.
Oh, what was going on?
Just it was telling me the link weren't working, taking me to something else, sign up, get an account, give me your passport, what's your mother's maiden name, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yep. They tend to ask a lot.
Well?
Pardon?
Did you give them the pin as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely, and the last 3 digits on the back.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So have we started, gentlemen? Have we started? Are we out the box?
We have started. I should probably actually not look at this and try to work this out afterwards. At least I've got the Gmail account, so I have to do an account for some music thing, and I've got to do a new Instagram account. So I'm like, how the fuck do you do that? I've got 2. How do you do more? So I'm trying to work that out. So yeah, aside from that, all rock and roll really.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. So have we introduced? Have we gone out the gates? Have we started? That was the question.
The question is that we haven't stepped out the gate yet. So we can actually go ahead and do that now.
All right, then let's step out the gate. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Yanni himself. This is a beautiful write-up. Had me question if we use the old AI. But check this out, ladies and gents. This is what you got in store for tonight. Tonight's episode, the ego. Does the ego have value in today's world? In a world that emphasizes humility and selfishness, it's easy to write the ego off as purely negative force. But is that really fair? In this thought-provoking episode, we explore the role of the ego in modern society. We examine the ways in which a healthy ego can actually serve us, from building confidence to driving innovation. But we also delve into the darker side of ego, where narcissism and entitlement can wreak havoc on our relationships and communities. So join us as we ask, does the ego have value in today's world? We can find a balance between self-expression and selflessness. And what does it mean to live a life that's both authentic and ego-free? Brought to you tonight by myself, Carl, and the Right Honourable Fabulous Yanni, and last but in no means least, the one and only sensational Marius, right here on the House of Lords. Yeah. So, how we're going to get this party started? Let's get this
you guys start something, and because I overworked my the schedule that I was doing, so that meant I didn't get to get me tea or anything like that, or just drink some tea. So you guys can begin, and I'm gonna grab something just so I can drink.
Oh, hear that, Marius?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That beautiful chocolatey voice disappears. That's it. It's just.
It's not that. You know, where did we speak? Let's talk about this. When did we talk? Must have been about 6 o'clock, something around that time. What do you reckon, Marius?
A bit earlier than that.
It's a bit earlier than that, was it? A bit earlier than that. So we've had long over 7 hours then. 7 hours. Could you imagine that? 7 hours in preparation. And now he must get his tea.
Some of us just work hard and just work long hours, and then that's it. And then when we finish, when we get up, we go and do the next thing. Some of us have got deadlines, big deadlines that we've been looking for years, and now we've got them.
Get them deadlines done.
We're not. Now we've got them. Trust me, mate. That's what's coming in first, mate. So yeah, you guys can talk. You guys are grown men. I'm grabbing a cuppa. I'm just going to get it from the other room.
Grown and men at the same time.
You're grown kids, aren't you? Yeah.
Yeah,
Kids.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Sounds about right. Sounds about right.
Definitely. Marius,
Carl,
what is an ego?
is an ego. Sounds like an alien ego, doesn't it? Sounds a bit alien. Ego. What is an ego? Well, as we had a discussion earlier on, which was interesting, right? And when I asked that question, you both went into different aspects, right? And I remember Yanni saying it was as a defense mechanism. Then you mentioned coping mechanism, which they are intertwined if you think about it. Defense, coping. At the same time, you went a bit more into how is the ego being developed. So the ego is, we can refer to as we discuss it seriously about the shell identity. It's that persona that's being developed through our lifetime, based on our experiences and what we've been taught / programmed how to see this reality, life itself. And through this experience, we tend to get to that place, some more, some less, some to the extreme, into that place of knowing. And when we get into that place of knowing, pretty much we kind of closed. I mean, what I mean by closed, I mean not open mind, closed mind, where the person itself doesn't look to expand anymore. He gets the idea that this is who they are, and they don't want to ask any more questions, like the ones that we usually ask. Can you be more than what you think you are? But when we go at the ego is, it's a tool at the same time as it is a version of ourselves. Interesting. Version of ourselves. What do you think of that?
What do I think about what you think an ego is?
Not what I think, about the fact that it came out like a version of ourselves.
So what's the question? What do I think of it coming out as a version of ourselves? Or the description of the ego being a version of ourselves?
Yeah.
It's an interesting question, and then a large part of me wants to say, well, can we define or separate one from the other? You know, in this instance, what I dare say is hypothesized with the idea of a version of ourselves that it is a persona, like the Greeks used to call, that mask with the smiley face or the downy face, with an oversized kind of mouthpiece. So it was like a mask and a megaphone all at the same time, so people in the amphitheater could hear what people were saying. And these personas, that's what the masks were, persona, have become in modern day language, so to speak, a person. So many people now identify as the person, when in hindsight, the person was the persona, a character that one would be wearing. And I dare say, through observations, we can certainly come to an agreement that there are those within society that do perpetuate a persona, a character, an ego of whom they think they are, and then behind closed doors express themselves in a very different way. Now, could we say that that was egoic? Is it ego? Or is it the persona, the mask? You also brought reference to the conversation we had earlier on about, coping mechanisms, a prerequisite for emotional hang-up and stuff like that. So this character, this persona, is personified to shelter that is vulnerable. So in one sense, I could certainly say, the ego could be explored and explained as a version of self. But again, like we mentioned in that conversation earlier to this one, let's not, or should I say, let's be prudent not to talk as if the ego is separate from oneself.
By being a version of self, that doesn't mean it's separate, does it?
I'm just putting the point out there.
Yeah.
So I suppose in this case, I would agree with you, Marius. It could be construed as a persona. Now, would ego is that a beneficial thing, as in the title? Is it good? Or bad? Here's our favorite words within our shows: good and bad. Is it valuable? The ego.
Is it valuable? Well, we can see that on the media. There's a lot of influencers saying, "Get rid of your ego. Get rid of your ego." And I'm like, can you really get rid of it?
I want to keep mine.
The prodigal son has returned.
You want to keep yours in check, or you just want to keep yours?
I just want to keep mine, right? Because it's mine. Yeah. And when I go out, put that shit on, and I'm invincible, mate. I walk. I bowl down the street. I don't walk down the street. When I put my ego on, mate, I bowl down the street. I look at it. All right. Look at the ladies right in the eye. Don't matter whether the bloke's next to. All right, love, how you doing? All right, fella. I walk on. Here you go. My ego.
Now,
raging.
Could that be confidence, Iani, or ego?
It. You see, right there. This is what we were talking about earlier on, with regards to specific dialogue, specific words to describe that situation, right? To describe what we, in this instance, our reference to the ego, right? Could it be confidence? I'm walking down, I'm bowling down the street because what? Because I feel good. Because maybe I've got a good job, or maybe I'm just a happy guy, and I know jiu-jitsu on a big level, so I don't really worry about. I've got no fear in that way. I was raised on the streets, Hard as nails, mate. So if I walk down the street, what? It's just who I am, right? It's just who I am. It's not an ego, is it? It's just who I am. It's just me. It's confident. I'm confident. Yeah, I'm confident. I'm a confident lad. Yeah, yeah. See, now is that ego? Is that characteristic? I just played a characteristic there, and I'm curious. Does that come across as egotistical? Because you asked the question, is that confidence? Well, does my confidence come across as egotistical? Is there any other words or is there any other statement I'm making within that to suggest that it would be egotistical? And is just the use of the ego, whether it's good or not, whether it's just constant, is that just egotistical anyway? And egotistical not meaning bad, just egotistical because it just happens to be through the ego that you're communicating.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Equally, as I was listening to what you're saying, I was presented with another word, which is self-assured.
Right. Self-assured.
Being comfortable in one's skin.
Right. So, is that so? In order for one not to embody, project the described, or what most would understand, most would comprehend currently as, well, understand actually as egotistical. Is there something else that can fit that?
Good question.
Is there something else that can fit in there? Because clearly, to dissect this and to really delve in, you've got the selfless side and you've got the selfish side. So what's the selfless side of the ego?
Yeah, that's a fabulous question, because it brought up a kind of paradoxical scenario when I placed myself within that framework of a selflessness ego. And because you are presented with the doctrine, and I'm going to use that word, the doctrine that surrounds the word ego is one of a negative connotation.
Right.
Now, when we say a selfless ego, this could be explored in numerous ways. One, that this person is manipulative within their egoic outward expression, but one of searching, I suppose, or wanting to be seen as selfless and kind and things of this nature. So it is quite perplexing when we explore ego in this sense, because now we're at a precipice of discernment of good or bad, proactive or regressive. And could that not be just someone's character in this, a selfless ego? Or could you be well turned down? Of the more mirror image and self-conscious side of the narcissistic spectrum, where one likes to look nice, always done up, always punctual and prides themselves on how they look, but yet very selfless in their actions. So again, it's here's that word again, the
duplicity.
Yeah, the duplicity of the situation all comes down from right down to a secular, and that secular would be the individual that would be awarded the label of egoic. And you said something just a minute ago what I thought was interesting, where you said, I'll keep mine. And this leads us towards exploring that narrative, isn't it? You know, the what aspects are there with the ego? You know, we can have the sports personality, you know, the team captain, right? He's got a big ego, big energy, you know, goes into a room, draws a lot of attention,
right?
You know, not necessarily even sought after. They've just got a big presence. That person's ego is massive, you know, because they've got nice things. You know, they're at the top of their game. They've got nice things, nice car, big jewelry, you know, all the trimmings that go along with success. Now, could on some levels, I've witnessed members of society turn around and people that are well turned out, successful at business or whatever it is that they do, and people said, "Oh, look at that fucking ego," and then could we hypothesize that those given that expressions are expressing the bitterness through egoic points of view, i.e., that I mentality that, for all sense of purposes, Freud or Jung talks about the shadow self, the id, in a various assortment of ways. So they are very important questions. Now, what would that be to you, Iani? Would that selflessness, ego, what does that conjure up within yourself? Because I haven't really come across that sentence. You know, I've heard both words countless times, but never really put together in a sentence in that way. A selflessness, ego.
Right.
What does that kind of look like to the pair of you?
Well, if I may be so bold, what's very interesting, and you touched upon it. You actually touched upon it in your answer previously. Well, in your last share, and it was the fact that ego has this doctrine. And as you said, so what is it? The selfless ego. Selfless. It feels light. It feels progressive, right? Energetic. But ego doesn't, and I'm fully aware it's because of the way in which it has been programmed. It intentionally has been programmed that way, and I'm fully aware that amongst us have I show the traits of somebody who has been programmed with the ego in the regressive, right? So in order for me now to look at selfless ego, I have to reimagine what ego is. I have to be able to take, because clearly there must be both sides, because there's a duality. I remember Marius and I earlier on, we touched upon that. There has to be both sides. It's just that we haven't had the experience of it in the context of progressiveness. So it's hard currently. I'm trying to wrap my head around the concept so I could give an analogy, or I can give at least an example of what that would be like. And the closest you can probably do would be, the closest you can probably get would be the very moment that either Usain Bolt or Mark Phelps crossed the finish line to get the goal, to be the fastest person in their sport. Just at that moment, they cross the finish line, and then there's an eruption of those that are watching. There's a joy behind their intentional shouts. There's a joy, there's a celebratory joy, there's a celebratory energy that comes from these people at this moment. And from the sports individual that has broken through his or her personal matrix at that moment in time, embody that selfless ego, because you're watching them win something, give everything in the process of doing it in order to receive that accolade, that gold, that number one spot, that world class, world dominator, the only one spot, right? And we understand, to get to that level, it has been a selfish and selfless path all at once. Selfish because they're focused on their bodies, they're focused on themselves, their sport, their drive, their goal. Selfless because there's loads of sacrifice, personal, social sacrifice that goes with doing that. You don't get to go on holiday with the family. You don't get to do this and that. You're there in the gym. You're there in the pool. So it's a personal, selfish, yet selfless act, because at the end of the day, you then come into a public arena where you have now got the support of millions of people globally. And then there comes this energetic responsibility almost to either give a good show, a great performance, not just for yourself, but for the people that are cheering you on, for the youngsters that believe in you. If you're truly tuned in, then a lot of that becomes apparent. And the broadest shoulders are the ones that can manage that without skipping a beat. So at that particular point, I feel that we can get close to an example of what selfless ego may look like.
Well, thanks for that, because I certainly enjoyed the analogy of it being lighter. Do you know, when you think of the ego and selflessness, it appears lighter. But on the last part there, I couldn't help but wonder, would be the right word, is if we're exploring selflessness in your interpretation to oneself sounded like the virtue of what's the word I'm looking for? Discipline. For the craft to be the top of your game, there's a certain amount of discipline, but you describe that as a selfless act. Whereas myself, I'd see that more as a virtue of a discipline to achieve the top of one's game. But I kind of hear what you're saying. I love the kind of exploratory nature of it. Marius, what does this conjure for you, this idea of egoic selflessness?
Egoic selflessness. Well, would we say that ego can be selfless. I mean, one thing that presents myself is the ego has the two extremes, the positive and the negative. The one is very much focused onto the self and just the self. And the other one is focused on not just the self, but the others around it. So some may say that it's a selfless ego, but is it really selfless? Or is it a progressive one? It's like having the ego on check. Like we had the discussion earlier, being in charge of the ego, not the other way around. So the ones that they very much focus on just the self, it's not them being in charge of the ego, it's the ego taking charge of the person. It's all about what they achieved themselves. It's all about what they did. It's all about how they did it. It's all about where they've been. And all you hear from those kind of people, which I believe, or I trust, we all have encountered it. Every time you meet them, they only talk about what they beat, what they've done, what they achieved, what it's I. It becomes so repetitive and so that you at one point your mind just kind of it's blocking it off because you can feel like you're getting drained out of energy. And that may be the one that is being perceived as the negative one, that has that negative connotation, which in a way you can say it does, because if it sucks your energy, it's not an exchange of energy, but it sucks your energy, then yeah, it will be perceived as negative.
I have, if I may, something to insert into this part right here.
That's it.
Yes. And it would be this. What if the ego is actually a projected manifestation of the observer?
What do you mean by that?
Could you differentiate the two?
Well, I mean, this is it. See, because you see, when we, for example, because when Marius was saying, for those who say it's I, it's all, it's what I've achieved, what I've done. Look at me, I have now done. Like there was a guy on, there's a guy on one of our, there's a guy on Clubhouse one time, and he would always come on and tell you how many of this thing that he was doing, how many he had done, and the number would go up, right? Over the weeks, the number would go up. And what was funny was, it was you knew that every conversation he came into, you knew he was going to go ahead and mention it. And then we'd be sending texts to each other to say, well, it's going to be 600 this time, innit? Watch. And then we'd just be cracking up when it happens. But my point is that that can be construed as two things. It can be construed as egotistical. It could also be just construed as informative. And when Marius was saying what he was saying, in my mind came up to, yeah, but if we were to follow the four agreements in that moment and be present in that moment, then those words that I, look at me, what I've done, they're just nothing but words. And now all of a sudden, where's the ego gone? There you go, ladies and gentlemen. See how that works?
I like that. That's very good. But here we are.
So,
In
I mean-
search of this mysterious id.
mhm.
Because we hear a lot about the ego in good ways and not so good ways. But can we as a society distinguish the id from self? You know, the point being, with introspection, with the lens that I have available to me at the time, is exploring this idea of id separate from self. Style, clothes, particular tastes, subtle nuances of tolerances and intolerances. Are these all part of the ego, or are they cognitive decisions that have been made in a conscious way, exploring all variables that are available? There's been times in my life, you know, where you're triggered, you take offense, feel a slight insecurity of somebody taking the piss, etc. And that has fueled a response, a physical act, reaction to what it is that I'm experiencing. Now, there's been conversations, you know, I had a chip on my shoulder, I had a big ego, I was hiding a broken little person, etc. Right? But on true introspection, can I distinguish between this idea of an id, an ego, a shadow self, separate from this expression in this instance? And my honest answer is no. And it always brings me back to that point that I know some of you that are following the show now have heard me say a few times. The idea or the facet of ourselves that wants to be better is the very reason why we're not, because we're seeing ourselves incomplete, lacking in some way, that there is work to be done. So we're still not truly accepting of the limitless, expansive self that we are. This ego. I mentioned a story earlier on about the burglar. This idea that as we get better as individuals, now I'm trained so I can move beyond such ideas of ego and this, that, and the other. As you progress, as your abilities and cognitive comprehensions of the inner workings of oneself and the world at large expand, so does that shell, id, the shadow self, the ego, also evolve. The story was, you know, the burglar breaks into downstairs and he's rummaging through the DVD collection. He's getting all the technical gadgets. He's looking through the kitchen drawers and the little jars for the money. And he stacks that all up near the front door. And then he hears the police coming, you know, and he scurries up onto the first floor. And so the police are on the ground floor now. They're looking for the burglar. Now the burglar's upstairs, you see. Now he's rummaging through the knicker drawer and everything else. You know, he's seen the flashlight and the stick on the wall dildo that the husband and wife keep in their bedside cupboards, and etc. You know, gone through the kids' drawers and found the PlayStations and the Xboxes and everything else. He's stashing them near the top of the stairs, so when he goes down, he can gather up all his swag. But by this point, the police have heard some commotion. They need to investigate. So they move up onto the first floor. Now the burglar, he is the police. I'm not having that. And up he goes. He's now into the loft, right? So the police and two, they can walk in the rooms, and there's stuff everywhere now. You know, all your clothes are on the floor. The drawers are out. You know, one of the TVs are knocked over in the kids' room. All the games and the wires are gone. And the police now hear the rustling and tossling about up in the loft, right? Now the burglar's up in the loft now. He's going through all the family heirlooms and everything else. He's got nowhere to go apart from up. Right, so he's popping a hole through the roof tiles. He's on the roof. The police are in the loft. Now, how the story goes, you know, to have the police, you've got to have the burglar. And for the burglar to exist, you've got to have the opposing force, which is the police. So for the very part of us that is expansive and moving forward, by the cause of laws and effect, there has to be the opposing, I've got it fucking sussed and I don't need to do nothing. Be it the ego. So both facets of one's limitless, innovative, creative self walks hand in hand with the other facet of that is constantly doubting or reassuring itself that it's got it all fucking sussed. So that's kind of my stance on it. The moment I can differentiate one from the other, then we may, you know, have a deeper comprehension, or I certainly may have a deeper comprehension of this very subject of self versus id. You know, the id in this instance has got me out a lot of scrapes, but we could surmise that it also got me into a lot. But at the same time, I'm incredibly thankful for it because it gave me the life experience to comprehend its importance. So I land my plane there, gentlemen. You two are really good at this dead air stuff, you know. I can't wait to bring you to radio. It'll be brilliant.
Yeah, no, I was just pondering on what you said at the end. Comprehend its importance. Why is it important?
Why is it important?
Yeah.
Well, the importance was resting upon life experience. If you keep something in a glass jar, it's fundamentally Plato's allegory of the cave, isn't it? Without experience, there's no comprehension of anything but that what is you've been exposed to. The moment you start stepping outside and then venturing into this world, be it kind of your own self-pride or egoic attributes that wants to put you in a particular situation, that situation, through interaction and involvement, brings about experience. Through introspection and observation begins knowledge. Through the application of the learned knowledge becomes wisdom. So all part and part of this beautiful kind of stepping stone to self-development. So in my observations, I would say, you know, the van driver in this case, the ego, the desire for experience that's going out in the world is just as important as the person answering the phone and taking the orders. For without the person taking the orders, there wouldn't be no need for the ego to go and deliver. But that's just my point, and let's not do dead air, gentlemen. Come on, we're clever, innovative, and linguistic individuals.
No one's doing dead air, young man. We were just waiting for you to finish your flow.
So my own egoic impatience.
There you have it, and it's just the perfect time as we are 44 minutes in. It's a good idea for me to do one of our sponsors. So, because I'm running a tight ship this time round. Tight ships this time round. So we have 5 seconds before the commercial begins. But very good points, gentlemen. Very good topic. We've got a lot to delve into. It's exciting, but we shall be back after this message. Ladies and gentlemen, tell me something. How's your vibe? What's happening? How's your vibrations? Are you giving those good vibrations? Or are they a little bit haggard? A little bit, off kilter? Well, my friend Vanessa can sort you out with something that's going to really help out that vibration. First thing you've got to do is you've got to visit www.vanessaelston.com. That's the first thing you've got to do. That's www.vanessaelston.com. The second thing you've got to do is to want to change your vibration, to maintain a stasis that evokes calm, harmony, abundance, and chill. And if that's you, and you're tired of the other types of weird vibrations that we get, and you want to restore yourself and rebalance yourself, go ahead and visit www.vanessaelston.com, and she will have all the answers that you need. All right? Until then, I'll speak to you soon.
And if you want to develop that grey matter in your box, that brain on top of those shoulders of yours, to develop one's neuroplasticity, the synchronization of the hemispheres of our brain, increasing one's bandwidth. I got tongue-tied, would you believe it? To help with thought to verbalization skills, processing one's system at an optimal rate from 40 bits of information per second to 40 million bits of information per second, turning one's internal CPU from your simple pocket calculator into the limitless potential, innovative problem-solving, creative thing that it is, into this quantum computer. Then feel free to dip your toes into the theoretical world of consciousness and development, so you too can explore the subject of ego and so much more. Get yourself onto Google Play or the App Store and download the Mind Gym Club. That's the Mind Gym Club, available on App Store and Google Play.
Ignite your vitality. Meet the LifeSpring Gold Card, a quantum leap in wellness. Revitalize your bioenergy, boost stamina, ease aches, and improve your mental focus. Shield yourself from electromagnetic frequencies emitted from cell phones, laptops, and other smart technologies. Restructure tap water, revitalize food, and harmonize everything around you. Elevate well-being with LifeSpring, made in the USA. Order today from vanessaelston.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the House of Wolves.
Welcome. Right, where were we, gentlemen?
Ego.
Back in the yes, we're still jamming the ego, mate. We're still knocking the ego, because if I'm not mistaken, Darren was asking about the ego. Darren, did you have a question about ego? Darren, do you have a question about ego? Yeah, so go on, Darren. Go on, Darren. Go on.
Well, I was going to say, like our lass, right? She's always going on about fucking Emmerdale, and it drives me mad, right? And apparently she says because I'm so fucking egotistical that I don't have any tolerance, right? So what could I do to help me being such a egotistical bastard, as she says?
Right, egotistical bastard. Well, I've heard a few slights like that in my time, but do you know something, mate? How do you feel right now?
Listening to yous lot, thick as shit.
But aside from the intellectual level, or how do you feel? I mean, about yourself, when you go out right now, how do you feel?
I think I'm all right, mate. I do. Yeah, I think I'm fucking sound.
And isn't that a good thing, or is that a bad thing?
I think it's all right. It's just our lass. she thinks I've just got a big ego like, because I like to dress nice and go out looking canny and that.
Now, do you like to dress nice? Because I mean, I like to dress smart. I don't like to walk out the house with stains on my jumper or anything like that, because I was raised to present the best, you know, at least present a decent, you know what I mean, version of myself when I'm going out. Don't have to look like $1 million, but at least present a decent, palatable version that people aren't going to be weirded out about, or it's going to, you know, you're going to feel nice. And you feel nice when people reflect something back at you. If you're out there by yourself and you look good, well, how do you know you look good? Aside from your own mirror, right? You're not going to get any comeback, are you? You're not going to get any feedback. You're not going to get any energy back. If it was just you in your suits.
I don't wear fucking suits, man. I wear trackies and jeans and that.
You're wearing jeans and that?
Yeah.
You're wearing jeans and that? You don't wear suits and that?
No.
Why not?
Because I'm from the north. I don't wear fucking suits, man. It's all trackies and Nike.
All right. Well, then there you go. And that makes you feel good, yeah? You feel good when you're wearing that stuff?
Yeah, if I got a clean pair
Now,
of
what about when
shoes,
you're wearing...
I feel all right, yeah.
And where'd you work?
JD Sports.
And have you got to wear any overalls or uniform in that?
No, I'm generally out the back in the storage, like. But there's a couple of beds there, you know what I mean? And a few of the boys, they're all right. Like, you know, there's one that goes, just looks like a tramp. I mean, I don't mean to say that on your show, like, but she does. She stinks as well.
Well, you know, and is that a bad thing?
Well, yeah, because everybody thinks she stinks and she just makes a work environment shit.
Right. And what? So is it right? And is that? And so I tell you what, Darren, you got to go deeper, Darren. There's more to life, right? There's more to life than the shallow observations of somebody's bodily odor.
But she stinks.
So what? It's bodily odor, mate. Don't you? You stink when you come off the bathroom, don't you?
But
You see what I'm saying?
To work and I'm going to mix with people. I can't go to work stinking. Do you know what I mean? It's the same like you wouldn't go to work with your dirty top on, would you?
No,
You said you wouldn't go out with stains on your clothes. Is that right?
No, that's right.
Well, would you go out the house smelling of fish?
No. Why not? Why would I do that?
Exactly.
So she smells of fish, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Do you know whether maybe she works? Maybe she does a morning shift on the boats in the shore. You know, grabs the early shift before she comes to work. Tries to scrub it off, mate. Do you know what I mean? And she's doing that.
Oh,
maybe she's doing that to make ends meet.
You just made me think. There's this disease that people can have. You know what I mean? Where their body odor smells like fish. She might have that. I should ask her.
There's a disease that smells like fish.
Yeah.
What disease is that, Darren?
I don't know what it's called. Most probably stink of fish disease. I'm not entirely sure. Like, you know what I mean? But there is.
Darren.
Look it up. It's called smelly fish disease.
Darren, stink fish disease, Darren.
Yeah, the fish stink disease or something. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it is.
And so let's just go back, Darren. You said that your missus was complaining that she said that you had a bit of an ego, right?
Yeah.
Darren. You know something, Darren? I got to agree with her right now, man. You're talking shite right now about stink fish disease and stuff. I'm just going to be honest, mate, because you're here, right? You've even turned me to. I'm just going to be honest, mate.
It's the real thing.
Damn, your break is finished. Get back to work.
You see, this is the thing, Darren. We're just trying. Well, see, we're trying to show you something. See, because you're complaining about the stink, right? See, and your missus says you're egotistical. Well, think about this. When you go out and you look good and you're bowling about, you might winking at a few women and she sees it. Yeah, you might, talk a little bit like like cock the lad, right? And she might see that. She might deem that as egotistical. You deem that as confidence, right? You deem that as looking good. But then what about the other side of you when you're looking at what's her face at your workplace and telling her that you're talking to us about she's got some stinky fish disease you know nothing of?
That way, mate. That way. What's your name? Iani, right?
Yeah.
yeah, he asked me. It's like I will ask things from an egotistical twat. He asked me for an example about looking after yourself and just keeping trim. And I tell him about a lass that goes into work and stinks of fucking kippers. And now I'm a cunt. How's that work out?
No, you see, because you're talking. You see, before it was this smelly fish disease, and now you say she stinks of kippers. Two different things there, mate. Just saying,
It's fish.
right? So clearly, right? No, but if we look at it like that, definitely there seems to be some sort of leaning towards the fact that maybe you don't like people who smell of fish, which could be deemed as prejudicial, especially if there is such a disease and she can't help it. Now, how do you feel about that, Darren?
Oh, you know, I did mention she might have that, and I'd have to ask her, and if that's the case, then I'd have to check myself. But if she's a dirty bastard, then what do I do then? She's just a dirty bastard that stinks of fish.
You reach out to her and say, look,
Have a wash.
You reach out and say, have you considered using carbolic soap or Dr. Bremer's? It's really good. Peppermint's great. It really gets in there. You know, you see, rather than us walk away in that sort of Jack the Lad.
Fucking hamper, like, you know what I mean? With sort of
Yeah,
like
just yeah, mate. Why not, mate? Because you know something, she just may not have had those social cues yet, and that's all she's waiting for. She's waiting for somebody to jump in and be a mature adult, right? You know, they want somebody who's got no ego, right? Just cool, doesn't matter, right? Nothing to lose. And they go in and they say, look, love, have you considered this brand? It's really good. And I know I'm not knocking you for smelling, love. You know, we all do it, mate. I used to stink like rotten, mate, when I was in school. But then here you go. She takes it away. She feels good. She gives you a kiss on the cheek. Now you stink. Wait. Now you stink for fish, right?
What if she's not aware that she stinks? Like nobody's ever said out, and then you'll turn around and say, "Here, Jack, what? You stink."
Yeah. Because you see, because if it's bothering you, you got to have a solution. See, because right now, because you're not presenting Darren, you're not presenting the solution. You know why you're not presenting the solution? Because the ego is happy for you to be in that stage where, oh, she stinks. But you haven't gone past that smell.
So what you're saying is the ego won't let me sort of like go forward and put myself into an uncomfortable position, like.
There you go. Because look, you putting yourself in an uncomfortable position, right, is a lot easier than what she's going through.
Oh.
Right? But you were to do that, so your uncomfortable position just to reach over to her and say, hey, look, I get it. No worries. Here. Try this out. It's free. Give here. You know, you work with us, you're one of us here. Now, to me, that seems like a less egotistical, much nicer sort of approach than saying, oh, she stinks of fish, mate. She stinks of kippers. You know? And it's a much better energy. Right? And then your missus will look at you and say, you're not an egotistical bastard. You're cool. And you never know, Mike. She might shag you right there and then. You just don't know because she sees you're a changed man. So something to consider, Darren.
All right, I'll give it a go. Cheers, fellas.
Cheers, Darren. Cheers, Darren. See?
Oh, Darren, before you go, that will be $3.99 before you go.
We take all credit cards, mate.
Yeah. Darren, hook us up, mate. You know, just be strong and persevere with that one, mate.
Oh dear.
We take American Express as well, don't we?
Yeah, all of it, mate. All of it.
I like that new segment there, the little phone in. That was quite cool.
Yeah.
But it is about that time, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
What time?
It is about that time. It is that time. It is
It
about
is
that
that
time
time.
right now for Marius with what comes up right now.
Boom.
Boo.
1 hour mark.
Get set. after such a relaxing session with Darren, what comes up was just sudden. What comes up, gents, ladies and gents? What comes up? You see, talking about the ego, which is an interesting subject, which can go in so many different ways. We see there's many people addressing it for the last few years. As I mentioned prior to that, all these influencers talking about getting rid of the ego, getting rid of the ego. How can people get rid of the ego? And the vast majority of people don't even know they have one, or they're not even aware that they have one. How can they get rid of it? And can you really get rid of it? That's another question. As Carl mentioned, can you separate the two? And if that's the case, what can be done? What can be done? How can we look at ego not being such a negative thing that it's been given on the media? Ego is such a terrible thing. You have an ego. Ooh. But we all have an ego, don't we? Is there anyone that can say that they don't have an ego? I mean, they may be. Not that I'm aware of. I would love to hear from that person that doesn't have an ego. Because ego is part of who we are. The ego is actually, if you go look back and what I mentioned earlier about the discussion that I had earlier with Carl and with Iari, when they were saying it's a defense mechanism, it's a coping mechanism, which it is. It helps us grow through life because ego is not there just to be that nasty piece of self. It's also the tool that we have to give us that red flag, say, be careful there. That can harm you. Be careful there. That can get you in trouble. That's also the ego. And is that a terrible thing? It only becomes a terrible thing when that ego, kind of limits us from who we really can be, that limitless potential that we keep talking about. Because when ego says, oh, don't go there, you can hurt yourself, don't go with them, they can hurt you. It may be that programming that was developed in the early stages of our life, when we were children, teenagers. And that was the only way we could protect ourselves, by not stepping into the unknown, because of the way we've been brought up, some of us. Some had an easier upbringing, some not. And because of that, they had to find their way, develop their own defense mechanism, coping mechanism. And then all of a sudden, we forget that we have it. And it starts to rule our life. And if there's one thing that we can do is become aware of our own ego. See if that our ego is in check. Meaning, is it helping us progress? Or is it keeping us down? Is it helping us connect with others? Sometimes you do need that ego in order to, as Ihani said, say hello to the person that you don't know. That way you can start a conversation. That's also ego. It's confidence, self-esteem, it's pride, It's many things. It doesn't mean it's all bad. It's only bad, or whatever version of bad or regressive is, when it's extreme. It's to the extreme where it only benefits the self and harm the others around us. So don't. You can if you want. Get rid of the ego. If you can, be my guest. Most probably it would be better to be in charge of the ego. Keep it in check and see how we can upgrade it if it needs to. And that's what comes actually.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, another fine addition to the back catalogue of what comes up with the sensational, right honourable and learned member of the House of Lords, Marius. That's fabulous, sir, Marius. Fabulous. What say you, Yanni?
Yeah.
Yes. All very beautiful stuff. All very beautiful stuff. It was making me, I was listening to you and just observing kind of the images that the mind presents as it does when listening to you beautiful souls. And I was being presented with this idea of people developing, moving forward, growing, and having an urge to do so. Begin to ask themselves that questions of their own inner monologue, their own inner dialect, their own thoughts and opinions, and their outward expressions. As we were discussing earlier on, are they progressive? Are they regressive? Are you still kind of operating through the material-based, driven desires of achievement and self-worth through trinkets and social standing? Could we surmise that in and onto itself is the shell identity, the id, the yid, trying to appease others, striving for recognition in some way. But again, it's that very grey, almost blurry line, especially with the opener of Annie's first addition to the conversation about the idea of the athlete. It does bring into that question of ego and dedication, commitment, discipline in this instance. To achieve some form of societal greatness. Is it the ego that drives that, the desire to be more than your component parts, be more than the average? And again, we're presented with that societal doctrine that the ego in one instance is a negative. But the ego strives the entrepreneur. The ego, one could say, compels the philanthropist and the working class individual to excel higher than their social standing, from the employee to the business owner. And they say, his ego, it constantly wants better, doesn't want to work for anybody else. But at the same time, that ego is now feeding families. It's built a small empire, for want of a better word, and they employ 300 people. Out of those 300 people, 224 have a partner, and 196 have children. 57 of them have more than 3 children. And that one ego that thought and strove for more, that excelled and desired more out of life, is supplying and feeding, as we said, countless people's lives. Those process subservient, goal subservient. It's not a very nice term. But the sheeple, the content individuals that are happy with just a 9 to 5, taking a salary and paying their bills.
So the Bar Black Sheep crew. Have you any more?
Yeah, you took it there.
So see, I'm curious.
Are you?
I was listening. Yeah. You see, I'm listening to what he's saying, and then I'm like, hey, right? Is it? Will we ever? Because the clarity of the ego has done all that stuff, putting food on putting money in the pockets of all those people, putting food on the plates and tables of all those families, right? Dared to be different, dared to think of themselves as more at that time. But you see, isn't it an ever-changing situation? Like, isn't it an ever-moving and ever-evolving situation? So, when you look at the sports person, they are skinny, young, slim. They don't know anything about sport, but they see something one day. They see Carl Lewis and they say, I want to be like him one day. So then they start their goal. Now, at first, they have started. So they're okay. But they're not championship yet. But it takes time. It takes dedication, as you said. It takes discipline. The entire time, where's the ego? We would not see much of one if there has been no victories. If there has just been raw talent being trained and molded into something that could be great. Do we not see the emergence of said doctrinized ego? Do we not see this when an individual has had some victories and are feeling confident in themselves? Is this suddenly translated as ego? Because now they have done the training. They were in the camp. They have grown. They have added the pounds, the muscle, the dexterity, the agility, the cardio. They've added it all. They've done it. They were there. And now they can do what they couldn't do before. Now they're world class. Now the idea of winning a championship, gold medal or something, is viable. Is their ego at that point? Because they haven't won the gold medal yet, but it's viable. Do we see what people could misconstrue as egoic behavior? That person hasn't won that gold medal yet. So then that day comes and they go down and still, they wave to the crowd. Is that egotistical? The crowd are rooting for this person. Do we see ego in the doctrinized version that we're used to? Not yet. He hasn't won anything. Goes down, squares up, starting gun goes off. Excuse me. Starting gun goes off. Is their ego there as that person makes the first 3 steps and brings their body slowly up? No, because they're focused on what they're doing. Is their ego 50 meters down the line? No, because, again, they're focused on what they're doing. They don't know whether they're going to win or not. They go across the line. Now, it was them that broke the ribbon. Broken the ribbon. All that training has come to that. He broke the ribbon first. Realizes he breaks the ribbon. Looks up, looks at the time, looks over to his girlfriend or his family, and he realizes he's done it. Falls to his knees right there. Overjoyed, overwhelmed, adrenaline and everything. Everyone, it's all happening. Is there ego right there? Is there any form on the doctrinized version of what we are used to? No, we haven't seen ego. Okay, so that's the first victory of the trained athlete. Now that could be running, that could be boxing, you name it. Now let's look at someone like either, what's his name? The McGregor fella, the fighter.
Connor.
Or Connor, yes.
Or
Connor.
Mayweather.
Or you see the telepathy, ladies and gentlemen. I've told you before, right, that's what goes on. Those are the two names I had. I thought of Mayweather first, but then I said, let me think of him first. I put him in there, and I was going to say that, boys, you see how that works? Just saying. Somebody said practice our telepathy. Well, we're practicing it. Anyway, I now look at those two boxers, those two fighters. Okay? We know they started from nothing. We know they weren't the best until they trained and fought to be the best. Now, they are the best. Do we see ego in either one in any way, shape, or form? The doctrinized version of ego, or do we see confidence based on data, based on experience, knockouts, victories, deals, success? Do we see ego, or do we see confidence?
This, again, I love this because it really is evoking introspection in the moment as we speak. And I'm presented with this idea of a new emotion being brought into this discussion. It's one of arrogance. Is this arrogance part of the ego and the aforementioned kind of celebratory recognition of one's talents through success? Now, could that be personality that is developed through the practice and the virtue of discipline? So again, myself listening to you guys' expressions brings me to that paradoxical kind of position once more of personality, ego, and arrogance. Are you following?
Personality, ego, and arrogance. Yes. But you see, right. All I'm trying to do is really, because remember the thing when I mentioned earlier on where I said, is the ego a projected? Is it in the eye of the beholder? And is it then projected onto the subject? Because there are moments where it can evaporate when the person's no longer there. Right? It can be, if somebody were to look at Connor and all they saw was his suits, his smile, right, and his private jet. And that was all they saw. First thing they see of him. Right now, before anybody says anything, no man, enough respect to the man, because boy, you created an empire, fought your way to the top. Enough respect. So now I can get that out of the way before people start whining and complaining, right? I like what he's done. Simple as that. So but we're using this gentleman as an example because there's a lot that's involved with this gentleman's career, his presentation globally, whether it's through documentary, whether it's through actual live appearance, fighting, public speaking, you name it, movies. He's doing it all. But if we're going to be talking about ego, and then people are going to listen to these things, then it's important that we really make sure that we've cut into the language, because we understand that there's a few bits and pieces that we begin to understand when it comes to the English language and the direction that an energy can be placed. So it's important to make sure that we are, really, really, really clear here, because it's very important, right? When you look at somebody like Mayweather, you look at somebody like Conor, right? That could be the antithesis of an inspiratory individual, to a youngster who comes across them one day, accidentally bumps into them on the street as they're going into a venue or something, and the kid looks up and he sees who it is, and he sees the smile, and his dad says, "That's such and such," and right there and then, bang, just cinema opens up in the kid's head, right, and he sees something that leaves its mark, a positive, a progressive mark on the boy. And from there, he understands what it means. He starts to really delve in. He didn't just go into the gym and then start knocking it about. He goes in differently. He's got more to him now. He's got more. Now he's got YouTube. Now he's a kid who's from the tech world, so he's YouTube, all of the different things, so he can really, really learn and study by himself. And really see if it's something that he can be part of. Just inspired by the energy that came off the man at that moment. Is that energy egotistical energy, or is it not the results? Is it not the justified results of discipline, of relentless and fortitude, of the culminations of victories and defeats? Right? Because, to get there, it's a culmination of all of that. We saw the break on the day. Remember that one when he broke his leg? Oh, that was rough. But do you know what I mean? So there's all of that stuff that's happened. So does somebody say that, okay, well, he's a cocky bastard, that's arrogance, that's whatever, that's arrogance, he's cocky, that's an ego, he's got a big ego? Or is that justified, well-earned respect and confidence in a man who has put his body through it all, who has displayed himself as a warrior to his craft, and as a result is able to be a great father and husband to his family? Is that ego?
Again, I am trying to, and I use the word trying, and it's not a word I regularly use, but to quantify all of this. And again, I'm being presented with someone's personality, and it brings forth that paradox of, well, what is it? Are we dealing with the ego, the personality, the shell,
Or would we ever be able to truly distinguish one from the other? And Iani, you make a good point, and it's something that I'm going to have to repeat that I did in the last point. You know, this notion of learned experience and a confidence and a knowing, I have to put emphasis on that, of one's ability. And when there is a certain amount of confidence that comes through the actual doing of something, not only doing something well, and then winning some form of recognition for one's capabilities within that field, brings about a certain amount of confidence. And for somebody less,
you use a key word, recognition. Interesting.
Why so?
Why so?
Well, because it kind of denotes that right there is an interesting word, because it would suggest that prior to that moment when they are recognized, that they are not seen, they are invisible, that they are mistaken or just not on the map. But all of a sudden, they've worked and they've worked tirelessly, and then they get the recognition. What is that word? Recognition. Oh, okay, never mind.
That was a good one.
It's just me playing around.
No, I'm waiting on Carl.
Why are you waiting on me for? What are you waiting for?
Because I hear
It's
you
just me
pondering
playing
on something.
Don't wait for me, speak.
Don't wait for him. No,
Speak.
don't wait for him, mate. He remember what he said earlier on. You know, like it's come on with professionals. But no, so there you go, right? You're waiting for something. What are you waiting for? Waiting for recognition. What is recognition? To be what? To be aware, to be cognitive, right? To adjust, to to go from, it's almost like it's almost like you're being reintroduced, you're being re-recognized for something that you already. It's just very interesting. It's like you have to wait till you have to be re-recognized by something else. You're recognized before, but you have to be recognized by something else before you can truly be whatever, before you can feel whatever. Or can you just feel that by yourself? If you don't get that recognition, does that mean you don't have ego? Does ego not follow at that point? Is ego prevalent at that point? If you don't get recognition, you're just quiet and you're just chill, then what? You're good at what you do. What? Does ego turn up then? Is it distinguishable? Can it be classified as such? Because at some point, if there isn't going to be an agreement that the entire spectrum is ego with clarity, and it comes from the individual, because as we've been having this conversation, it really dawns on me more and more, and I may be alone in this, and that's the way the Lord's are. So I'm yours. I might be alone in this, but it begins to dawn on me that there's an argument, not even an argument, but there's a plausible, not fact, because what are facts? But there's a plausible point, reference, to suggest that in fact ego does not belong to that which it is given the title. It actually is a good chance. I'm just a suggestion here. Don't listen, mate. I'll just Look, mate, he just turned up and he said, "Yeah, I'll just tell them this." He got on the radio, just tell them this. So I took it. I took the thing, and it says this. It's just a chance, right? That ego belongs to those that project it, that observe it. It could belong to just them, just in the same way as, for example, I don't know if you've ever heard, man makes God in his own image. Don't know whether you've heard that, but yeah, anyway. There's these types of things. So one has to consider, is this not the observation, the preconceived, is it not the observation of the beholder? Because if the person has done all of that work and they've become as good as they have become, and with that comes a confidence and an air of living, an air of feeling every breath, an air of embracing that, not moving through the world withdrawn, recluse and shell-like, but alive, filling the space that you were given, eyes sharp, looking at the on person with confidence, caring for his family with confidence, and carrying on in that light, in that energy. It's at that particular point that if I am observing this, and I have a clearer comprehension, then I can't see ego any longer there. I don't have that. If I've removed the doctrine, ego disappears, and a whole bunch of other things turn up. But again, like I said, that is just me, my observations. Because yes, we as human beings have experienced people who, for no apparent reason, are mouthing off about everything that they've done, and really at the end of the day, they're not really that good. They just had a lucky break or whatever, and they're milking it for all it's worth. We know who those people are. But when you really talk about the definitive understanding of what ego is and what it isn't, from my observation, it would appear that ego, it comes into play, but it's a weird reverse projection that's based inside the observer and not the observed. Because there's proof of misconstrued. Oh, I thought he was egotistical. Well, I didn't. I thought he was confident. Nah. He's got a big head. What are you talking about? He's got a big head. Where are you looking, love? On his shoulders, dirty. Yeah, all right. But it's I'm just saying, that type of misrepresentation, misunderstood, or miscomprehended, or just just non-comprehensible.
So from what I'm understanding, am I right into saying that ego, or the awareness of it, is only present when brought forth by the observer of it?
Indeed. In the doctrinized aspect that we are used to. Yes.
Okay. Well, ladies and gents, if you're enjoying the conversation, don't forget you can get in touch with the House of Lords at www.thehouseoflords3@gmail.com. Again, if you're enjoying the show, that's the House of Lords at Gmail. Oh,
back.
The House of Lords 3. Never mind the www either, right? The House of Lords 3 at gmail.com. Alternatively, if you do enjoy listening back to our shows and our parlays and you want to interact, again, we do a impromptu live on the platform Instagram on a Wednesday evening. And when we say evening, that is GMT, English time evening, on either myself's platform or Iani's or Marius's or something all different altogether. But if you jump on the social media platforms, find either or one of us, click on the bell icon, give us a follow, and you'll be notified when we do those lives. And that way you can interact with us through the host that is broadcasting the live. That being said, gentlemen,
that being said, something is. I think it's just about that time.
Well, just before you do that, mate, I just had a thought.
Okay.
Why don't we do, just real quick? Why don't we do a live? We should just do the lives. We should just do the lives on the House of Lords YouTube. That's what we have the channel, ladies and gentlemen. We have the channel. We have the channel. We have our own channel on YouTube, and it's at the House of Lords. Can you imagine that? Literally, just go youtube.com, and then whatever the thing is, at the House of Lords. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's us. Not House of Lords 52M/. No, the House of Lords.
Can we stream live?
Yeah, man, we can stream live.
All three of us?
We can stream live, my brethren.
From different locations, all three
From
of
a
us.
yes, brethren, from a different location.
Well,
We can stream directly into them the things. If you run them way, because otherwise, man, we're behind the times, my brethren. We're behind the times.
Hey, little more, me, I just a dinosaur around here with this.
Hey, man, as you said that, not me, bruv. The man is extinct.
Nah, man, me our first time around these parts, and I bet you Uno for me be the last one.
Uno for you? Really? Yeah, watch out now. Watch out now.
You call me no fuck around, Rex.
It's Osselin Herbert, right? Yeah, so you know.
Anyway, back to our normal viewing. How are you doing?
Oh, very good, sir. Very good indeed. Thank you. Very good indeed. Very good. Wonderful.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. So, Brother Marius, yes, indeed. Yes, Brother Marius, please feel free to. I think. Yes, actually, yes. Well, see, Brother Marius was hinting that currently, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to that moment when it is time for. And you know something? What we should have done this was for Marius. I feel bad because we didn't really, we were just chilling. It was like, what comes up with Marius?
Yeah.
Were there any applause or anything? Did we give Marius?
Well,
Did we give
didn't.
Marius any type of?
Oh, my ego just gone. Yeah.
Well, if we didn't give you any of that, Marius, then for what comes up with Marius?
Thank you.
Oh, that's just amazing. Well, last one sounded like you won the Masters at snooker, Marius.
Did it?
Yes, indeed.
I thought I was going to Mars or something like that.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's for what comes up. But now, it's time once again for that. It's time once again for that geezer. I keep on hitting buttons, man, by mistake here, and I just chipped off.
I don't have my soundboard this week because I'm not at home, so I feel quite blessed. It's all on you.
Okay. Well, once again, it's time to that moment in space when we listen to the words from our Right Honourable Brother Carl with Hit the Pinball. Hit the pinboard, yeah.
Thank you very much, my right honourable colleagues. Yes, it's about that time to hit the pinboard with me, Carl, right here in the House of Lords. Don't push me, cause I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. You remember that? See, I remember that, ladies and gents, and that's what the ego does, isn't it? Has people masquerading and peacocking and beating their chest like, you know who man is, you don't know who I am, man will fuck you up, guys. That's what the ego does. And what does it do? Well, it hides that insecurity, doesn't it? It hides that, I don't want nobody to think I'm a pussy, or I don't want people to think I'm stupid, so I'm not even going to bother trying, because what if I fail? Oh my God, you know that nasty little demonic voice that whispers in your ear and says that you're shit. You can't do that. Leave it to them. They will think you're stupid. How dare you open your mouth to me? Now sit back down, contemplating raising your hand, you imbecile. Equally, that ego can turn around and say, go on, you can. I know you can. I've got pride in you. I've got faith in you. I understand that you can do it. Now get up out of your fucking chair and show me the money. That's what the ego can do. The ego can compel you into the global stratosphere of influence and iconography and accolade of some form of utopian stardom where your handprints and your name is placed in concrete for the world to see because you believed that you could do better when all about you thought you weren't shit. And your ego said, fuck that. We can do it. We know we can. We're gifted. We're talented. We're charmed. We're blessed with the ability to change and mold and inspire and have people laugh and cry and think. Or, like I aforementioned, will have you quiet and meek, docile, pathetic, and walked all over by life itself. So in this instance, it's been described as quite a powerful motivator. It's almost a fuel cell for do it or not. The proverbial amplifier of what it is that you're going through, what you're thinking of. So if you're constantly paying attention to those negative waves, man, you know, those waves that always bring you down, man. We don't need that, you know, because life's a beautiful thing, man. But the negativity would have you just worthless, uninspired, unmotivated, incapable of innovative, creative thoughts and expressions, constantly seeing a problem for every solution. Or your ego could be so strong, put you forward at every team meeting, so you become that fucking obnoxious, cantankerous arsehole that nobody pissing likes. So, given a comprehension of the nature of this thing, this subject matter, that we still haven't been able to distinguish from one to the other, all wrapped up with the crazy dichotomy of a notion of self, an identity, a notion that you are a particular thing, brought home and bolstered by the internalized belief structure, be it unconscious or conscious. So in this instance, we can certainly operate within the realms of an unconscious ego, manipulating us and convincing us, one, that we're far greater than we actually are, or two, convincing us that we're a hell of a lot shitter than we are. So what are we being shown? Well, the development of consciousness, the awareness of that internalized monologue. So if we begin to develop one's third-person perspective of our comprehensions, our desires, our lusts, our needs, our wants, our presumption of a want and our comprehension of a need, quite often under introspection, are far from either of what we first felt. So here we are again faced with the development of our own awareness, the neuroplasticity of our very being, the dexterity of our brains themselves. They could either be a mesh of overlaid filters and limitations and presumptions of what we think are, for our own internalized presumptions of our interpreted experience. So the moment we become present, the moment we develop an awareness to remain in such a state, we can observe these emotions as they present themselves. They'll go freeing ourselves from the impulsive action through the lens of them, turning what could be rather a problematic, manipulating, maniacal aspect of the human character into a fabulous fuel cell, a dilithium crystal, a flux capacitor to teleport us into the future with clarity and finesse. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what is on the pinboard. Settle down. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful. Look at that wonderful flow right there, ladies and gentlemen. Our right honourable brother, in words, in arms, Carl. Absolutely fantastic. So you know something. As you were speaking, as you were sharing right there, I said to myself,
I was thinking of Darren. What happened to Darren? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Darren's getting Darren. Well, Darren, because Darren was brave enough to go onto TV, right, and to expose himself, right, and explain that his missus turned around and called him like an egotistical bastard. Because that happened, right, his missus, when he got off the phone, his missus looked at him in a new light. They're knocking 7 bells right now, shagging the life out of each other right now. It's a new day. It's a new day. It's a new day, mate. He's swinging off the balcony. You know what I mean? All over the house, mate.
I didn't get a chance to tell Darren next time before he meets his missus. Just go to one of these stores, buy a fish. Put it all over his face. So he smells of fish too, and then. Go and meet his missus and see what his missus says. She finds that he smells of fish, but she wouldn't be able to tell because she does smell of fish too.
And it's through our immersion in our own experience. I can't stress that enough, because you are the architect. You are the pilot of your journey. You're the actor, the thespian. Now, you could take the lead role and talk into said Yorick's head, or you could be a little extra at the back that doesn't have many lines at all and doesn't like to be seen. A meek little butterfly. It is your choice. Completely your choice. Now, the insightful aspect of all of that is you now are aware, you have been made privy to, again, like you heard me say the other day, you are now illuminated into the insightfulness of your possibility, where you therefore are the architect, you are the director, you are the key star, or if you wish, the quiet little extra of your own existence. That in itself is insightful. Fascinating.
You know something? I'm just going to say this.
I just got a text message of Darren saying that, he never said his missus stinks of fish. He said the woman at work stunk of fish.
Oh, the woman at work. Oh, sorry.
See, I was gonna I was just about to say, but luckily the text came in from Darren, so I managed.
Yeah, the text saved all these
Ah,
comments.
brilliant. It's funny because it almost sounded like something that comes in like a week later. It's it is brilliant. I was just cracking up when you were saying it. Oh dear, brilliant.
It's me understanding the northern accent. You know what I mean?
Right. Get you totally. I was actually doing one of those ones where if there was a camera, one of us has to be asleep with our head nodding like this because that's what happens in the house. But yeah, and by the way, yeah, we can do live. We can actually do. I'm intrigued to see. Yeah, we can actually do live camera to YouTube, our YouTube channel. Yeah.
Could you stream you on Instagram at the same time?
YouTube, Facebook. I don't know if Instagram's actually programmed in there for that, but you can definitely do those. Facebook, YouTube. There's a couple. I just haven't opened up the software.
Instagram is Meta as well, isn't it?
Well, Instagram's Meta too, yeah. So you know what I mean. It's like Instagram. It's all Meta. I mean, you know, Meta.
Everything's Meta.
Everything's fucking Meta. It's all Meta. It's all Meta. It's all Meta. What's Meta? Well, it was Facebook, right? And then something happened. And then what's his face? Data. You know the geezer that looks like Data out of Star Wars. You know, yeah, that square-looking geezer. What's it? Zucker something or other, right? Yeah, I think the American government, they hauled him over the rocks, didn't they? He had to go to Capitol Hill, and then they was interviewing him, weren't they? There was like almost like a third degree. He looked like he looked like one of the puppets out of Tracy Island, mate. He looked like Brains without the glasses, mate. I'm telling you, I was laughing my head off.
All joking on one side, he is a peculiar looking fella, isn't he?
Yeah, there's definitely
So is the name itself.
Well, no, I'm not. I mean, you know, look, we eat Weetabix, mate. You know, it's just like, look, I'm just, you know, it's an interesting fella. You know, it's an interesting journey, right? Do you know what I mean? Interesting. Just interesting, you know? Something to think about. You know, that one. You know? Where's he now?
In his bunker.
No, is that a bunker or a spunker? I mean, which one is that?
See, it could have just gone
another...
south so bad just then. I could have got extremely inflammatory. So.
Luckily, Darren sent you a message and brought you back to reality.
See, Marius goes get the text also now. Darren's like, "Oi, could you tell him not to talk about that on here? Could you tell him not to talk about that on here, right?"
Yes, you know what? One other aspect that was coming in regards to the ego, right, is the need to be right.
Ah, yes, there you go. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to go deeper. Marius has hit the mark. Let's go. So, Marius, take it away.
Take it away.
Okay, Marius, don't just say take it. Don't just say take it away, Marius. Okay, look.
You guys gonna tell me that I'm still in it?
Look.
Here we go. So.
Look. So, yeah, you. What did you just say then, Marius? What was that? You just went. What did you just say?
what I was just saying, when you find these individuals that they always have to be right, they have to have the last word.
So,
Right?
so what is that based on? What is the being right and being wrong? Is this be like a lot of construction going on somewhere? I don't know what's going on, mate. It sounds like we're in a restaurant, but it's okay. The question remains, right? With this right and wrong aspect that so many choose to take a position. I'm right. I'm always right. No. You, mate, are wrong. You're a wrong'un. You're wrong, mate. All right. I'm right. What you talking about? You couldn't be right if you turned right. You're wrong. That's it. Done.
But you can't be wrong if you turn left.
Who's talking to you?
You can't be wrong if you're always right either.
And where'd you come from?
Oh goodness.
But okay, but so if we if a life is to be, if a journey is to be taken with as much balance and neutrality as possible, right? Right and wrong tends not to really then come into the equation eventually, if not sort of once you make the connection. At the same time, as that happens, is that a shedding of the ego right there? You see, always comes back to the ego. See, when you see where we're going, gentlemen, because Marius went down that. Marius was walking along and he thought nobody was looking, and he just dug this little fucking hole, and we all went, "Oi, rabbit hole!" Marius is like, I've got a vivid imagination, right?
Yeah, you do indeed.
But yeah, so right, so look, so we've come to that spot, right? So look, go for it, Marius, man, because you started it. Let's explore.
Well, I started it because I wanted to explore it with you guys.
Okay, so yeah, so then, what part did you want to explore? Now, where would you begin in this particular exploratory endeavor?
Well, I thought I already began, and then he took it over, and then he brought it back to me, and he's like, "Okay, what part do you want to explore again? Okay, I'll take you again." Well, giving up the need to be right.
Okay, but giving up the right, yeah.
Well, someone with a huge ego cannot accept that is also sometimes wrong, or he or she, whatever, can be wrong. But they
Is
cannot
there any
accept
such
it
thing as
because
wrong?
that
though?
makes them less than what they think they are.
But is that true? Is there proof of this?
What do you mean by being proof of it?
Is there
You never
proof?
met?
Is there no? Well, yes, but what I'm saying is there proof? Is there tangible proof to show that as a result they would be less? Has there ever been proof, tangible proof within that thought process to show that they would be less?
What would be acceptable as proof?
Whatever.
Asking for proof.
Whatever, anything.
There is no such thing as whatever. Be more specific. What
No,
would be acceptable as
well,
proof?
you see, the reason for my suggestion was that I wanted to see whether there was another dynamic, an aspect of that whole thing that could be pulled out and focused on for a minute There has to be something tangible, because otherwise, where does that stuff come from? That's why I wanted to give it something tangible, so I can point and go right there. Let's work from there. But it wasn't. No, it was none.
Hello?
Yeah, no, I said there was none. So I thought one of you guys
Marius,
would jump in.
that was to you, mate.
Yeah, mate. I was waiting there, sitting there, going, "Gee, what's going on?" Listen, mate, I'm not playing doubles with you, mate, on any tennis court, man. You'd be like, "Oi, Marius, get the ball."
Get the ball, man. Get the ball, man. Get the ball. You see, but that's the thing. When I asked you, well, what would be acceptable as proof? You know, the fact that the fact that I'm expressing that I have met people in my life where they cannot accept that they can be wrong, and they will always find ways of just putting their point across and not listening to what others have to say,
Right.
not accepting the other perspectives in a particular matter.
Right. And then you made one reference to say that in part there's a chance that it may be a situation of where they do not want to be seen as less than they are by not, for whatever reason. So and I said, has there ever been any proof that would be the case?
Well, the proof is my perspective.
Right. Okay. Perspective. See. Oh no. Yeah. But the proof wasn't asked of yourself. I was not asking the proof of yourself. I was asking a proof of that particular interaction. Have we seen data to suggest that those people would somehow be less than? Had they not been?
The only way you would have that proof, most probably to ask the individual, but would the individual tell you what you want to hear?
Or would the individual be? Would the individual be compelled to be honest?
Yeah,
right.
There you go.
Right. Would they be compelled to be honest? Would they be compelled to take part in what essentially would be some form of an experiment? Kind of. It's kind of an experiment. Especially if you're offering data of yourself within that controlled or somewhat controlled environment. Right. So, so that's what I'm saying. If there's no, there's very little proof, if any. There's nothing tangible. That was what I was trying to get to. I was just saying, look, but there's no proof, mate. There's literally nothing. No one's ever really stopped and said, right, let's try and do this, and then let's see the proof for ourselves. We can lean on that. There's nothing to lean on. See, what I'm getting to. And I don't know, for the first time, I'm like, yeah, this entire time we've been doing this podcast, this is the first time where I'm like, you know something? I'm going out on a limb here. Going out on a limb, but I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it, right. Definitely. Going out on a limb, totally cool with it. Totally understand. Totally cool. But I am going out on a limb to suggest, again, to resuggest the idea of where the ego truly sits, because I'm so curious now, right? I'm curious because I remember when I was a child and when I could really do something really well, and I wasn't, you just mind your own business, right? But then you get to do it. And I remember coming to school, and I remember watching this kid from Nigeria. This kid, love it, man. Cool cat from Nigeria. Just came into the school. He was brand new. But he was a wicked football player, right? Wicked football player. Like all my mates who actually were raised there, they were just brilliant football players. And I remember some of the kids in school, some of the local lads, hard lads, kind of like, it rubbed them up the wrong way. And to them, it was like he was showing off. To him, That's the football style that's the only football style he knew. He didn't play differently at all. He could do all those. His maneuvering down the court was a bunch of. It was just a bunch of ridiculous moves, man. Where I just laughed my face off. In the end, I had to laugh. People were looking stupid. All of the hard boys and they were looking stupid now. And it's not like I could do but to laugh my face off in the background. Even one time he had a fight with one lad, and even then, where it was, the normal square off didn't happen. My man was dancing about like backwards and forwards, like it was nothing. And I thought, does he know who he's fighting? And it happened. And then when he clashed, everyone was like, ooh. It was one of those ones, right? But that was all he knew. He wasn't showing off. Big difference, right? It's all he knew. It wasn't egotistical. That was just, but those guys deemed it such, which is the reason why I go back to my, in fact, hey, excuse me, mate. Yeah. Could you bring that flag over here? Yeah. The one that says dope MF. Yeah, dope. Iani dope. No. Not the one that says Carl dope MF. Dude, what's my name? It's I. Bring that. Yeah, but I know you got the Marius one. Okay, look. Whoever was gonna win, you bring my fucking flag, please. Bring the fucking flag, bruv. Quickly. Let me just. Yeah, right. So what I'm saying, right, is that I've got my flag, right? It says Iani dope motherfucker, right? I'm holding it. The wind, and I've got the guys switched on the wind machine, so the flag's blowing like that. It's huge. It's fucking massive right now, and I'm holding it. And there's a silhouette about to do the sunset shot with the silhouette and all that madness, just to really, 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 really play it up. And the reason why I'm holding this flag up, right, is because like it's like I'm taking what is known as a colossal position. Right?
You
And
know,
it's about
I was about when you're going on about the proof, I was about to invent something, right? Like usually with the statistics. And I was about to say, well, we asked 1,000 people the question.
Go ahead.
And this is the statistics that come up, right? Because everyone wants the statistics, right? So I could come up with one. Who would know how many people I asked if I did ask? It can be just me, and just put it down there, like, 800 people said yes.
And you know something? Nobody would know. That's what's crazy. Okay, nobody would know, and they'd march on the strength of 800 in that data, right? But
it's all about bringing the receipts, Ian.
Exactly. So that's the reason why I was holding the flag down to say that currently, I'm bringing it back to the idea, and I'm really not now. I'm like, ego, just like beauty. It's in the eye of the beholder, brothers. In the eye of the beholder. Because now that we have gone down some tracks here, and each time we have, I've waited to see when we got clear of the doctrine. And once we did, and we were sort of free in an exploring manner, I felt like for the first time you could then click, and it took a while in my head just then for me to be like, okay, yeah, now I can see where ego could be, where the word ego right? The idea of ego wasn't negative, and it was now to be used as the opposite of what it normally is, but the same spec, so the same, but it's to be used in that area. So when I came with that weird selflessness, ego is after you've done, the sports people and stuff like this, and I said it was moving. It wasn't a stagnant, stationary situation, because it couldn't be. It appears, it pops up for a moment and then it's gone. If you're talking about the negative one, pops up for a moment and it's gone. And it pops up when people observe, because it's people that say, "Oh, that guy's got an ego." No one goes around and says, "I've got the biggest ego," to no one. I have my name. You know what my name is? That's right, ego. Yeah. That's right. I know they used to try to say ego. I said, no, I got not two G's. It's ego. E-G-O. Ego.
When you were explaining the story of the sports person, right? And you said, well, he's got there. He hasn't won anything yet.
Right.
And in my head was like, well, he did, because in order to be in that track, he had to qualify to be in that track.
That was not egotistical.
That could have been an inflict of the ego for being there. It's like, I made it here. Now, if he wins, that ego can be inflicted even more. And if he doesn't, it can be diminished.
So you just try to just pass off the ego straight off, man. The guy's there doing his own thing, super cool, right? And my boy's like, you know what? Nah, bruv, just because he's training, so what? No, there's ego there. But there's no one in the fucking track. It's just him by himself. Nope, there's ego. Watch. As soon as he gets past that certain number, ego. Which, and the reason why I said it like that is because, as I speak it, I can see it. I can see that also being qualified. I see verification coming. Maybe he gets to when he gets past when he gets to the 9, when he gets to the 10-second mark or something, boom, he thinks like, yeah, I'm among the fastest people on the planet. If he scrapes down some more, tries to go towards where Usain Bolt is or something, either way, there's other people in between that time where you can say, yep, goodbye Ben Johnson, I passed you. Goodbye Carl Lewis, I passed you. All those things. So finally, but he can't quite get to Usain Bolt. Can't quite. But he'll make do. Because he's second fastest, man. And that still brings accolades. That still brings sponsorship. That still brings dollars, pounds, and pence. It still brings enough sexual debauchery to survive for many years comfortably.
Interesting you brought the money into the discussion.
Of course, one had to.
Because it's like, so what happens if someone wins the Euro Million all of a sudden?
Okay.
Would you see someone that was insignificant, no one knew about him?
What is insignificant though?
Well, to the world, being recognized as being a millionaire. I was looking.
Oh, okay. So it's insignificant with regards to financial gain,
yeah,
financial standing. Okay.
All of a sudden, he's a millionaire, and then the ego shows up, like he's someone now. But who's that someone?
So does the ego show up and what does the ego present at this moment to this? What does this ego look like? Because just because money has arrived, what has presented within this? Because there's parts to be observed here. There's parts to be observed.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I've chimed in now. Now you expect me to hear something, and you fuck. Yeah.
It's
Right.
about time, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I've been sat there, I've been listening to yours, and I've been observing my own thoughts, and I've been listening to the conversation, observing my own thoughts, right? And one of the observations is the dialect between yourselves of the observation of others, and the best source that we have is ourselves, right? And where I'm going with this, I started asking myself the same questions you're posing and observing of others. I found myself in a childlike state, giggling to myself, because on one side I was presented with the realization of my ego. It's, you know, it does think it's rather clever. It is. It does think it's rather pretty, and you know, it's in good shape, and it's great in bed, and all this other stuff, you know. And he says it with a cocksure smile on its face, and everything else. And he knows he's handy, and all the rest of it, right? But my ego now also walks hand in hand with my humility. Because the humility sits there, laughs when he hears the ego say such a thing. And it comes forward and offers that, you know, the realization that there is so much more. And that is quite a ridiculous idea and everything else. And then they both face each other and laugh, right? And that brought me to a realization that there's a relationship with the many facets that have presented itself. You know, when we talk about the shell identity, the ego, it's interpretations of what is, what we're experiencing, and we're beginning to kind of piece together that the presence or awareness of someone's ego is that through the observation of the third party, right? So that opinion can change throughout the full spectrum of, you know, mankind, which again led me to that playful aspect of the interactions, and that in and unto itself, which made me chime up, was the beautiful realization of not necessarily being manipulated by the ego or evoked or provoked by the ego to expect or desire or want, but it merely being just a facet of all the others, you know, the humor, the sensitivity, the anger. It's all part and parcel of the dichotomy of that thing that we call self. Again, within myself, being able to distinguish one from the other is the playful aspect of the whole, you know. And I don't mean a void, I mean a completion, a togetherness of the whole thing.
Right. Okay.
If that made sense at all.
Yes, we have yes, definitely. Yeah.
Sorry,
right,
I missed it. Can you repeat that, please?
Really?
No.
That was it. Where were you? At the back of the class? What were you doing?
I
What were you doing? You shagging Susie.
I was playing with the ego, man.
I see you shagging Susie. Yeah. Back in the classroom.
Susie.
Yeah, shagging Susie in the back of the classroom. You've heard of that. Order, right, honourable. If you're going to come here and shag, why don't the right honourable players have the decency to get a hotel room?
In the chamber. Scandalous, I say.
If the right honourable are going to use the chambers for all sorts, then we need to know about it. Because we want some too.
The debauchery in this house will cease forthwith. Order.
Well, actually, it will cease when we cease. Get it? Order.
When my C says, yeah. Anyway, I mean, it's all very good, joyful stuff, isn't it? You know, the pontification of the coitus subject. I mean, it is quite titillating. Yeah.
The play of the egos. The play of the
The
egos.
egos, exactly, exactamundo. You know, and that's, I mean, in even that is funny, because even that little statement that I just said, exactamundo comes from who? The Fonz. And what's interesting is when you look at something like that was in the 70s. Watch that in the 70s on TV, right? Watch that in the 70s, the Fonz. And yeah, hey, right. And, you know, Henry Winkler, mate. Yeah, good job, man. Good job. All I can say is, good job, right? Why? Because here you go, iconic figure.
Sorry, man.
No. These days are
Those happy days. These
Oh,
days are
happy
yours. A goodbye, great sky. Hello, blue.
nothing to hold me when I hold you. Looks so right. Can't be
Can't go
wrong.
wrong.
Rocking and rolling all night long.
Oh my God.
I wish I could join you, but I have no clue what you guys are singing.
No. You wouldn't have been allowed to watch things like that in where you were. That was far too
advanced.
Plus,
way
if you
too
if you was in the early 70s, I wasn't born. So anyway, I couldn't.
No, it was like mid to late.
Don't say that, because I remember the program and you're older than me.
Yeah, but you remember the program, so it doesn't matter. You were there. That's all that counts, is you were there, and you were there long enough because you were singing that tune. You knew the little dee dee dee. You could hear the keyboard.
I
You could hear the
remember
little
Mrs. Cunningham.
organ.
Come on.
Mrs. Cunningham, yes, you did remember. And little Richie, who turned out to be humorous, the Ron Howard, mate. You know what I mean?
Is it? Do you know what? Fabulous director.
Isn't he just?
Didn't age very well, man.
Oh my God. Really? Why you have to do that? Everything was great. Ron Howard got through cleanly. And then all of a sudden,
You see, but that's why it's followed up by a question. What do you mean by didn't age quite well? I mean, what do you mean?
You see, but some of us know what that looked like. So, but now Carl is gonna have to explain it, because I don't have to.
I don't have to explain it. You did it perfectly well by saying some of us know what you meant. I mean that he you know, like some antiques, right, as they age, become, for whatever reason, more beautiful. If you take like Judy, who was Q? You know, that lady.
Judy Dench.
And there's a few others, right, that haven't done the plastic surgery or anything like that. They just age naturally, and they're beautiful, mature women.
Helen Mirren.
Helen Mirren. There you go.
Hot. That's why that's one woman. If she walked up to me today,
yes.
And she, before another word come out of her, she would you? Yes.
Let's.
Just don't lead the way. I'm the arm out. There you go. Off we go.
Yeah.
Don't care. Happy. Trust me. And you know what? That's at the end of the day. I'm like, well, hey, look. You see now. I can say that I'm truly now. I feel like yeah. You can't touch.
You didn't say much, but you said a lot. So anyway.
Exactly. That's how you do it. How you do it, bruv. You know what I mean? There's too many people that say, well, first of all, I would, and no one will know that. No one wants to know that. Let people use their imagination. But just know that Helen Mirren is a beautiful woman. Now, beautiful woman. I had dinner with her today. I would cook for that woman. Anything she needs.
But yeah, my point being, you know, there are those things that age really well and seem to become more beautiful, if not radiate more beauty internally. And there are those that don't age so well. You know, if you take Sid James, for instance, you know, by the time he was in his 60s, his face looked like dry hide of leather, you know, looked like he'd been smoking 70 cigarettes since he was 2.
right? And it looked like, you know, you thought Gordon Ramsay's face was kind of wrinkly, right? You know, you got Sid James, and he was just like an English bulldog of a man, really,
Oh,
but
yeah,
wrinkled.
Funny
Right?
as hell.
And
Funny
as hell, though. Right?
Funny.
But you say some things don't age very well, you know. Richie Cunningham, when he was young, the character, should I say, you know, he was kind of your what they call it, your white
Preppy.
collar,
Your preppy white collar.
kind of, you know,
Young boy. Yeah.
kind of charming gentleman in a sense.
Apple pie.
Yeah, and as he got older, he ended up looking a bit more like he went to the same school as Uncle Ben. You know, remember the boy and the bear? And then you saw him 10 years later in some other film, and it looked wrong in some way. Right? That, like, how did that kid look like the character out of He-Man all of a sudden? Right? It's like... Some people don't age very well, unfortunately.
Would the person character and ego add to how they age?
That's a very good question, because anybody that has hung around with beautiful people, and I don't mean their character, I mean aesthetically beautiful. It's quite shallow, quite, you know, whatever. And conversated with some of these people after a period of time, a good number of these just eye-droppingly, openly and jaw-droppingly beautiful individuals, male and females, have turned out to be really ugly individuals, and that has a tendency to shine through over a period of time once kind of the allure of the aesthetic has worn off, and you've actually heard this thing express itself, and you think, well, fuck, you're actually an ugly cunt. And but you know, I don't mean no disrespect, Richie Cunningham, or the director, I can't remember his proper name,
Ron Howard.
You know, I don't mean no slight by it, and I am supposing using the mine of your charming good looks as a filler for the show, and that's shy of me, really, because you might be a really beautiful person inside, and that shines through.
His work shines through, bro. I mean, look.
Yeah, you know, so there's my own kind of, you know, flaws and judgments being projected just for the sake of comedic laughs.
Was that your ego taking
who's to know?
a step forward?
This is the point I'm getting at. Who's to know? Who can distinguish one from the other?
Ego, wherever you go, I'll go. Ego.
But that's just my own inner monologue on the subject, really. My own meandering thoughts. They may change in the next minute or two with the addition of new information.
They're good, you know. They you know what? It's you see, look, and that's here's a thing. I'm so glad that we're able to have this time and go into this way, because you see, what I know most people always go, no, the ego's a nice thing, and then they just, and it's always like good or bad. Nobody's ever goes in and explores ego and explores it. This is exploration, ladies and gentlemen. You've not been hearing, oh no, but the ego is good because it protects you. You know, when you need it, it protects you. That's why you have to have a good ego, you know. You're not hearing that. You're not hearing, nah, man, the ego sucks, bruv. Because you know what I mean? When you're underneath one of them kind of geezer that with them type of ego, next thing you know, every man's getting fucked up, bruv. Because, do you know what I mean? Everything was cool, you know, you're going along, and then, mate, you go, that's to spout off. Big old ego, next thing you know, it all comes on top. We're all under it. Ah, bruv. See, so, you know, there's yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. The exploration here has been marvelous because we've moved beyond the positive and the negative. We even went through and observed the progressive and the regressive, but there's even more, because we're now looking at the positioning, the origin of the actual of the origin of the ego itself. When it springs up, is it a mask that stays with somebody, or is it something else? Is it a mask that is attached to us, or is that mask attached to the observer? Ladies and gentlemen, ego. A deep, deep, deep dive with my brethren here. The Right Honourable Marius, the Right Honourable Carl, and my good self, Ihani. We continue on, delving, swimming in ego, and I gotta try to make it to the shore.
Well, you better hurry up and do that, my good man, because guess what, Marius? It is about that time, isn't it, my friend? It is indeed for the Right Honourable, illustrious, sensational, innovative, and creative Right Honourable, and learn it. What's new?
What a skip up, slip up.
Tip of the day with the Right Honourable Iani.
Thank you very much there. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. We love all of that. It's part of it. Yes, and we're here again for tip of the day. Now then, I suppose at the end of the day, we've been looking at the ego, haven't we? We've been delving in, trying to decide what's going on, whether it exists, whether it doesn't. Is it true? Is it not? What's the origin? Is there a way out? Are we trapped? But tip of the day. I was definitely, I wasn't ready for this one, right? I'll tell you that much. I was chilling, everything was cool. And then next thing I'm hearing, what comes up with Marius? And right there, that should be my signal. Think about what's going on tip of the day. Nothing. Because I'm enjoying Marius's share in depth, and then we move on, and then Carl comes in. We'd hit the pen ball, and I'm there, invested in that too. Still not thinking of anything. Unprofessional. Why? Because I'm enjoying the mic time. You see, that's why. It's because all this stuff is cool. I'm just chilling now. There's no crashing madness. But tip of the day would be, the tip of the day would be, it's to do with language. It's to do with the comprehension of the format you've been given thus far. Because that format, in my humble estimation and observation, is flawed in some way. That format seems to take you off guard, take you off balance, take you in an area which is like, I thought I was supposed to be here, so why are we over there? Well, you're kind of over there, but you're kind of not. Just depends on how you look at it. How did you look at it when you got in there? Well, we looked at it from this way. Oh, yeah, well, then you're going to be over there. Well, that makes no sense. Why? Well, see, had you looked at it like that, then you'd have come in over there. That makes no sense. Exactly. So, I say that to say this. Language. Words. Tip of the day. Tip of the day is, don't look at it as a tip. Look more of it as a day.
Oh, I tried to hold it, but I couldn't.
Right, run that last tip by me again.
I was trying to lengthen out the space so I could think of something.
Oh my
goodness. What I was trying to say, though, ladies and gentlemen, what I was really trying to say, what I was really iterating, what I was really getting to, the point I was making was this. One must decide No, you see, it's a thing. Here's the thing. Look, my colleagues are laughing because here's the thing. Tip of the day is just make the right decision going forward. Yeah. So I need to get to the point of, you see, as I was about to say something, then I realized, no, man, no. I'm telling you, the ego, it's not on the person. It doesn't exist there. It exists in the mind and the view of the one who say, hey, look at him, look at her. That's where it is. Up until that point, those people were moving about doing their thing, not minding nothing. Everything was cool until somebody turned around and says, oh, look, he thinks he's cocksure, doesn't he? Yeah, he's driving that Cosworth, eh? Yeah. You know, look, he's got that blonde with him, innit? He thinks he's all that. Right? Meanwhile, at the very moment that's being said about him, right? He can only hear some dope tunes in his motor, and he's going to pick up his fiance. His fiance gets in the car, some tunes spill out as the door opens. All right, love. He closes the door, and he drive off. As far as he's concerned, the love of his life has turned up to the car. He's opened the door for her. She's got in. There's music bumping because she loves good music. He gets in. It's a cosy. It's stush. Off they go. They're in love. But you see, somebody's perception was that he was all that. He thought more of himself because he was driving a cosy. Because it was rare. Because it was flash. So where did that come from? That came from the observer. The observer is making the suggestion that person's got an ego. Is making the suggestion. I'm telling you, it's the observer. It's not the observed. It never was. So I say again, where does the ego reside? It doesn't reside on the person moving about with their confidence or whatever it is. It resides in the eyes and the judgment of those that are looking at that person. That's where ego actually lives. That's where it lives. It comes alive when it's observed. Who's observing it? External observation. That's when it comes alive. It can't come alive on an internal observation, and it's not alive when no one else is looking. Because it has nothing, it has no power, it's not even visible, it's not there, there's nothing there. It turns up in the eyes. Remember, remove the wood from your eye so you can see the trees ahead of you, huh? Or whatever it is. Then remove the wood from your eye, right? Lest you blind somebody with a plank of wood. Whatever it is.
I do like that kind of that idea in it. It's that kind of biblical reference. Don't judge lest thee be judged. And I'm trying to remember a beautiful thinker and speaker from yesteryear. He put this phrase in. Certainly, I've kind of adopted it. It was a beautiful phrase, and it was like, the egoic individual doesn't see people how they are. They see people how they are. And this is kind of what you're getting at. It's those that are doing the judging, etc., but they're seeing an individual through the lens of their own creation.
Right. Yeah, basically, because even if I were to, because as we've been having this conversation, I've been imagining parallel situation, same people over here, same people over there, and I'm in both places, and in one I'm hearing what's going on, and in the other I'm seeing what somebody's observing. And at no time do I see it on that side. I hear it come out on this side first. I hear it come out, because remember, if we're attempting to stand in a place of balance and neutrality, right? If we're attempting to stand there and to exist there, then you don't regard somebody's actions as egotistical. They're just actions only, and that's it. If you haven't got to that particular, then it's deemed egotistical, which suggests it suggests it comes from a lower dimension, a lower comprehension of understanding, of acceptance. Again,
or the lack thereof.
Or the lack of acceptance, and as a result, there is that judgment. They didn't accept that the young lad and they didn't know that the young lad had been running a warehouse company for 3 years. He's out of college. He's done really well. He's got some really good contracts, and that's his first little gift to himself, to Cozzy. As for the woman, they've been together since they were 16. They were sweet childhood sweethearts from 16. Just so happens they know how to look after each other and look after themselves, and they're healthy. So then they exude this energy. They're going about their lives. They're just going about their lives, doing their thing. Right? Not careless. Yeah. Not belittling or suppressive or oppressive in any way, shape, or form. Just doing their thing and living their best and loving him and living in the spirit of love. But that wasn't observed. And even if it was misconstrued. And because somebody hadn't done the work, all of a sudden a story was placed, and that story itself turned into the ego. So again, gentlemen, I do make a strong suggestion now. I know I've gone from like 10, now I'm coming close. I'm at 2 now. I'm like, nah. I'm telling you, ego is BS. It's BS. The concept of it now is becoming, as it's the first time I've ever delved in, and the further I go, I'm like, nah. See, it's BS now. I'm like, nah, I'm dismissive. I'm like, wait a minute, nah, there's too many holes now. No, it's not on the person. No, it's on the looker. The looker makes it. The observer makes it. That's what's happening. That's what's going on. It's the observer. That's where the ego lives. It's not on the person. It's not on anybody. It's in the eye. It's in the mind. It's in the mind of the observer. That's where the ego truly lives. It's been hiding there all along. And we say, look at his ego. And people are misdirection. Boom. Looking over at the person. Taking on board what? The same mental energy as what? The ego within the who? The judgy. The judger. Look, telling you, that person's still walking off, not saying a word. Didn't even know they were even making noise about that person. Didn't even know they were making noise about himself. He's just minding his own business. But he's hearing, oh, look at him. He thinks he's like, oi, wanker. Oi, where are you going? He can't even hear you. He's on an international call. On one ear, right, and his mum's on the other ear. Oi, don't forget to bring the thing you're missing. And he's happy. He doesn't see any of that. That's not who he is. Where does the ego come from, gentlemen? Look at that, gentlemen. I've got to put it there because, man, there's something that people keep on skirting around and kicking from one side to the other, right? They keep on doing that with this ego thing. And it's still, in 2024, has this doctrine attached to it. And I think it's long overdue for it to be put in its correct place, because we're discovering that there's words, right? This phrase, retire, right? We're discovering these things. We're like, wait, whoa, don't say that. Do you know what it does? Do you know what the energy is? Do you know? Oh my God! You think we're crazy, right? Well, we're not. Right? Remember, it's covered in that. It's steeped in that. If you realize that language has an even greater mission other than to convey sentiment between one person and another. If there has been something else added to it, a dimension that takes it beyond the scope of many, whilst they hold it in their hands unknowingly. If this, because it would appear that certain languages, we discussed it, certain languages have managed to do this, and if that's the case, then gentlemen, I say again, the ego no longer in my mind, the ego no longer resides where it has. I now see it as a creation, the observer.
And certainly an
If
interesting.
that's
Go on, Maris.
Go on, man.
no, go on, Cap.
No, please.
Go ahead. No,
No, I was gonna go into conclusions. Because if that's the case, then what's the value of ego in today's world? But go on, Carl. What do you want to?
No, that's fine. Explore that, mate. Explore that.
No, I'm asking in conclusion. So what listening to what Ihani was exploring right now is like, how do we bring the conclusion of what's the value of ego in today's world?
Open question. What's the value of ego after Iani's statement saying that ego no longer exists, only in the eye of the observer? Certainly a very interesting hypothesis, especially in the realms of theoretical consciousness and within the quantum multiverse idea. Very plausible. However, there are still many characters that have, again, done intensive observations of various personality types from around the world, various behavioral patterns of individuals, the moral compass or lack thereof within individuals, and the list goes on, and all of which are assigned particular labels. The shell identity, the id, the ego, alongside with the other personality types and disorders that we're experiencing in the world, schizophrenic, for instance, or depression. Where else could we go with this? The ADHD, body dysmorphia, anorexia, and again the list goes on. Now, all of these are kind of mental interpretations of the experience made manifest through its own particular lens and comprehension of what is. And again, I found myself back on this kind of theoretical roundabout, going round and round, observing my own expressions and being truly 100% honest with oneself. For then we can truly explore growth and possibility. My answer would be, I have no way of determining the validity of Iani's expression, no way of bolstering home my own rebuttal, if there was such one to be proven. In this case, I can only go on my own experience, and there are times when there were people within a medical field that have suggested various things going on with various labels. You pick up various literature again, and And if you can see yourself in these literatures as you've gone through life, especially if you're a particular age and you've delved into the world of introspection and self-analysis, the why behind one's thinking, the why behind one's saying, and the why behind one's doing, you begin to realize that through one's journey of life, we show not only to ourselves, but those, as Iani rightly put, those observing oneself as being a particular state, be it good, bad, progressive, regressive, obnoxious, opinionated, demonstrous, egoic, narcissistic. And again, the list goes on with that. Interpretations of oneself through their own particular lenses and of my own, being honest. And this stage where I am within this particular right now, there are those of particular insights and learning that would describe my interactions in one way, and then there are others outside of that particular field that would describe my emotional and mental output in another way, and they may contradict to how I observe myself, projecting what it is to be this I am in this instance. So my answer from 100% kind of honesty position would be, I don't know. To move into that kind of theatrical realm, all I can determine is that I think, and therefore in some case I am. And the I am that perceives itself as being something is only made relevant and confirmed by that is perceived external of myself, which is, in this case, you two gentlemen. For if not a reaction or an observed observation of my existence, how would we know if we were? So, my honest opinion is it's a very good hypothesis. There are learned individuals all around the world that have broken the human expression down into countless component parts, facets and personality types overlapping, mental disorders and social isms overlapping, some overlapping with potentialities of genius, some overlapping with potential of crazy, schizophrenic, narcissistic, some overlapping with the potential of the arts, the theatrics and the poet, love, compassion. But they walk hand in hand with aggression, hatred and anger. So what is the ego? What is to be? In this instance, I can say I am, by the addition of those that I would confirm of their existence, for I interact with that vibratory expression. If that makes sense to any of you, feel free to get in touch with the House of Lords at the House of Lords 3@gmail.com. I hope that answers your question in some kind of way.
It does. It does. It just
Good.
didn't address the value in today's world.
It didn't address the value of today's world.
In conclusion, to say what's the value in today's world, right? You know, the ego, what's the value?
Right, you're right. You're right.
I know, that's why I'm
You're right.
laughing.
No, you're right. I didn't address the value of it. Well, if going back on what I've just said,
250.
if we're fuck you 250, right? Right? if we go back onto what was said about the existence being confirmed by the observer. So the value of the ego is the value of existence in itself, as throughout this whole 3-hour conversation we haven't been able to determine or discern or separate the I am, the self, or the ego from that is. So the value of it, if to place a value of a construct of an idea of what people are trying to comprehend, and what is knowledge in this case on an academic level, nothing but an agreement by a group of peers, and that information is then accepted by the general mass, i.e. the mob rules. So if the mob have agreed that there is this thing called ego, and it's intangible and inseparable from self, then it's as valuable as self and life itself.
I like that. That's yes, something to ponder, something to think about there. I like that, I must say. Yeah. Well conveyed also. Yeah, very well conveyed.
Well, thank you very much, my good man. Thank you very much. Well, I don't know about you, gentlemen.
Yeah.
We bored people enough. We've given them 3 hours.
I think we've
time.
There's a couple of people at the back nodding out. I'm like, oi, could you go round there and could you wake those two people up? Because it's rude. I don't care. It's been 3 hours. Yeah, 3 hours. Be awake. That's why we serve Folgers coffee. Yes, Folgers. Yes. The best thing to wake up. You've seen the adverts. Yes, that's why we're looking at Folgers. Yeah.
There are other brands, and
Folgers is the one that we deepest
there
one
are
at the
other
bottom.
brands available, because
Yeah.
I do have a particular brand of coffee I like, and if there are coffee companies out there that would like to sponsor the House of Lords to keep us pep throughout our 3-hour conversations, let us know by messaging us at thehouseoflords3@gmail.com. And if your coffee is my kind of brand, I will sing your praises, even though I know it's poison.
It's a treat.
It's a treat. Yeah, right, really. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, my colleagues have spoken about treats before. And as they've mentioned it, we might as well just bring it out right now, really. All of you lot that love to treat yourself, what are you treating yourself with? Are you treating yourself to a lovely ice cream? Are you treating yourself to that sticky pudding? Are you treating yourself to a Coca-Cola? Are you treating yourself to
I'll
untold
to myself, right? Because I'm sat again. I'm so old school. I'd have a cigarette company sponsor me.
You see, because you say poison, but it's poisonous if it's not in the right quantity to kill.
Exactly.
I only jest coffee companies. I do, because I am quite fond of one of your products. I really am.
Exactly.
Do you know what? I have become a coffee snob.
He likes a good cappuccino.
I have become a coffee snob.
He does. You call him, right? Call him on the video phone, right? And then what do you see? You see him in the coffee shop, right? Feet up, looking like he runs the place, right? With one of them creamy moustaches.
Not like he runs it anyway.
And he's got one of them creamy moustaches that he gets from the cappuccino, the perfectly creamed up whippy cappuccino. Yeah, he drinks, he puts his face in it, and when he comes up, he's got a moustache. Yeah, just so you know, that's what he does. I'm just saying, because I have to watch it on the video.
I am.
Oh,
not
mate,
that
what's going on? And
unsure.
there's a moustache, a creamy moustache in front of them. It's like a head, bald head, glasses, creamy moustache.
Is that the ego treating itself to a cappuccino?
Exactly. The ego's going, all right, here we go. Now, so we don't care. Don't care what anyone says. You're having a cappuccino, mate. We're gonna make it as frothy as we fucking can, all right? And
That being said, you beautiful people, you can catch us here next week. Right, gentlemen, any closing thoughts for the beautiful people out there?
Right.
Where they can
Mario's
catch us
here.
next? What's happening?
Well. I mean, only thought I can think of is, guys. You know what I mean? Now it's something to go away and think about it, because to some people, being told you have an ego has been limiting. And to other people, right? It's been the fire they've decided to go and say, well, we'll sod a lot of you. I'm taking it to the stratosphere. But in this conversation, maybe it doesn't quite reside with you. So, yay! Just saying. So, in my conclusion, it's like, look, give yourself a break. Do you know what I mean? Just do your best. Give yourself a break. People say you're egotistical. Check it out. You never know. They could be wrong.
You know,
Hang on. Just before we go, let me just flip the question.
I'm not going. I wanted to say something just before
right.
you go. What are you talking about?
As we close, let me get this one in there, right? I'd like to ask you, Stu, as well. In conclusion, like Mario said, he asked me the question, so I pose the question to both of you. In conclusion of the show, does the ego have value in the modern society?
It does. It does have value in the modern society. And I would say it in this way. Don't be a dick. Because that's been seen as being egotistical. And that will tell us who you are. I mean, that you're run by your ego. And that's your value to the society, being a dick. Sorry.
Save me, please.
So
Yanni.
yeah, all right. So look, does it have value in today's world? Clearly, from my perspective and my observations and exploratory musing and stuff, it would appear that there is value in the ego, but the value is held by the viewer. For in my conclusion, I will conclude that it is actually the viewer who has created this, as amongst the story that is created in the words that are expressed. So there comes the story that's created in the visuals that are expressed in the very same way. Stories that we know a lot of the time aren't true. Visuals that we know a lot of the time don't hold out. And if we map over the said ego, it would appear as if it conjures up and goes away when the person decides to look away. So that's my conclusion, ladies and gentlemen. It's a new day. Run out and tell everybody, what? Hey man, that's something they were talking about it. He's absolved us of the, we don't need to talk, we don't need to worry about ego, we can do what the fuck we want. Right?
As I said, don't be a dick,
That being said, you beautiful souls, don't forget, if this is the first time you're here in the House of Lords, If you've enjoyed it, click that bell icon, whatever platform you found it on, so you're notified when the next podcast is up and available. Alternatively, if you like it, give it a share. And if you've been provoked to want to express yourself, send us an email at thehouseoflords3@gmail.com. Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure once again. Love and light to you both.
It's been a real pleasure. And ladies and gentlemen, yeah, it's been an honor. It's been an honor to serve you today. Today on the menu was ego flambe.
That's why it was an honor to serve you and your ego at the same time.
Question, ladies and gentlemen, maybe you can send in an answer. Have we freed you from your ego? Or have we just freed you from the responsibility of your ego?
And I don't know why I came here tonight. I got the feeling that something ain't right. I'm so scared in case I fall off my chair. And I'm wondering how I get downstairs. I got clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle.
You just put that image in my head from the movie Cutting the Guy's Ear. Seriously.
All right, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Until next time. And don't forget, ladies and gents, you can catch us on Wednesday live
On Instagram or YouTube, maybe.
All right, should we close the show, gentlemen?
I don't know what happened to Yanni. Doesn't talk to us.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, just saying again, thank you. And gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. And if there's any last words from the audience you'd like to, in fact, audience, why don't you give us a round of applause? Why don't you just sound us out?
Yeah, do that. Party.